everyone. So, as said, we've seen a lot of what universities can do with respect to education. What I want to look at now is what can universities do with respect to research. And as we saw yesterday, research is a long-term process, so it's probably not completely realistic to think that any efforts that universities might institute today to change the course of their research priorities will have an effect in time to bring about actions to fulfill the agenda by 2030. But at least in 2030, maybe we'll have a better idea where we should go next. So what I'm doing is try to figure out whether existing framework that has been adopted by many schools around the world is fit for purpose or can be adapted to align with the goals of Agenda 2030. And what I'm talking about, the framework, what I'm talking about in particular are journal listings. I'm not sure to what extent you are familiar with journal listings. If you're at a business school like I am, then you definitely are aware of them because journal listings are used as a tool for research strategy. Basically, what schools do is they say, okay, well, if you want to make promotions or if you want to get a bonus, then you have to publish so and so many journal articles a year or in a 2-year period. And not just in any journal, but in a specific set of journals that has been listed by a set of experts. So there's various experts group around the world who have identified lists of journals that they deemed of higher quality. One such list is the Financial Times 50 list. There's also the ABS by the business schools, and there are many others. At the same time, so these schools, they already have their tool available. At the same time, they need to adapt. Why do they need to adapt? Well, these tools, these listings, they were not designed with the Agenda 2030 in mind. They only had some idea of journal quality and what was considered to be part of the discipline of management. And what people like Nelson Powell say, but also Villa Moya, is that universities and business schools, they need to change, they need to adapt to make sure that what they do actually aligns with any goals that they point out as being as contributing to. And of course, in this area, what's maybe a bit complicated is that all these sustainability development goals are related to each other. So as one person said this morning, perhaps just by providing quality education, universities already cover all the 17 goals. But if you want to be a bit more specific, then maybe you want to have better justification in the reporting as to how exactly you contribute. Now, with that in mind, what kind of research would universities need to promote if we want to have universities producing research that is relevant for the Sustainable Development Goals? It tells us more about what works, what we should do if we want to attain these goals. And well, some people say, well, what you need is a multidisciplinary adoption of multidisciplinary lenses. I think we've heard that today already or yesterday. Okay, that's very well and very good. But then people have been critiquing these journal listings. They say, well, maybe journal listings is not the right tool. Basically, they say, well, if you restrict your number of education outlets and funnel all these articles to this select set of editors, actually you're not really contributing to a diverse research culture. So maybe at the outset, things don't look well, but what we're looking at is maybe there are differences from one journal listing to the other. And so schools, as they choose which journal listing they want to impose on their faculty, they can make sure that the journal listing aligns with their goals with respect to the agenda. Okay, so what I'm doing here is propose a small bit of analysis where I take the academic journal as the unit of observation. I take a number of journals that are part of journal listings. And then I do a bit of pre-AI analysis on the text that one can easily obtain of 100 randomly selected articles for each of these journals. So what I then do with this text is do keyword matching, see to what extent people in the abstracts, in the titles, mention words that are related to sustainability. And in fact, Cube and Wouvelis, they propose a set of sustainability attributes, dimensions in which the sustainability field goes. And then I check to what extent these sustainability attributes correspond to the likelihood of being included in one or the other journal listing. Okay, so journal listings. These are the journal listings I look at for this analysis. These are the 5 most restrictive journal listings. So the most restrictive is FT, Financial Times, which has about 50 journals in its list. But there are others like FNES or the journal quality listing. And there's an Australian academic, Harzing, who has compiled all these lists in a nice overview that they use as a source. So here are the sustainability attributes that I look at, and I encourage you to consult the paper for the exact codes that are associated with the learning attributes. Well, you may be familiar with the donut model of sustainability. If we take SOS, that's about sustainable operating spaces. COL is about collaboration. JOS about just operating spaces. AAM, alternative economic models, etc., etc. These are dimensions that are said to be important to be able to attain the goals. If you want to really change the system, then you need to think about alternative economic models, to take one of them. What you see in this table is within the sample, which are the journals that come out as scoring highest with respect to one or other of these dimensions. And it kind of makes sense that if you have a journal on resource economics, that it would be most relevant for sustainable operating spaces, for instance. Okay, so more interesting is to see how these journals distribute, well, how the score in these dimensions distributes across journals. And maybe unsurprisingly, most of these journals, and that's in the left corner down here, most of them, they have a pretty low score on either of these dimensions. And this is normal since it's not their key objective. The key objective is to study elements of management, but there will be some of them that actually score relatively high on one dimension or the other. Now for a bit of analysis, and well, luckily you all have your screens in front of you, so you can study the stars at the screen in front of you. Other than that, apologies for the small script. The important message here is that if you look at various journal listings, so each of these columns corresponds to a particular journal listing, there are some significant differences in the effect of interest in one dimension of sustainability research or the other. And I took Scopus as a interest of as a control variable for journal quality. Unsurprisingly, for most of them, having a higher Scopus score will make it more likely that you are that the journal is included in the list. But interestingly, here for some of them, for instance, ADL. If you're interested in research on just operating space and your university adheres to AGL listing, so that's the Erasmus University journal listing, then you're unlucky. You'd better go to some place that goes for the journal quality, where it's like the journal quality listing, where it's actually much more appreciated. And that's the main contribution, I think, of this paper, to suggest a tool to keep universities to account. So next session, we get into listings, into ranking. The ranking and listing is based on what journals, what universities report, what schools report on what they're doing. Well, if you get a school that states among its key differentiating goal that it's in favor of promoting responsible consumption and production, well, you can look at what they're doing at the education level. You can look at what they're doing in practice, like do they do recycling on their campus? But you can also look at what kind of research they promote among their faculty. Then if among their faculty policy, it's just FT50, maybe it's not completely compatible with this this goal, and you may go back to them and say, well, explain what else you do to make sure that you also have research in this area. And I think this is useful for people at schools who are there in the seat deciding what they want to do, what kind of research they want to promote. It's also useful for people at the accreditation side who want to be able to pose some intelligent questions to these schools. And with that, I leave the ground back to the moderator. Thanks.
Thank you very much.